Now 7:50, the holidays are certainly a joyous time for many, but they can also be a very stressful time. So how do you deal with stress? A lot of us eat and eat a lot. So how do we keep those extra pounds off? Well, we brought in an expert, Lieberman-Wang, to join us this morning, a relationship expert, but not relationships with others necessarily as much as a relationship with ourselves, right?
Absolutely. We have relationships with ourselves, and we need to start there first, then it becomes everybody else, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And you also are a New York Times #1 bestseller. The new book, I don't know if we can get this, it is called Fine to Fab. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this time of year, the holiday season. Obviously, it can be very, very stressful. Positive or negative, a lot of emotions going on right now. So how should people deal with that when they're confronted with all these foods that they wouldn't normally have around, but of course it's the holidays?
Well, you know what? What happens is we go into comfort foods. Now, any other time of year we might not have those foods, but during the holidays, you always remind yourself of, oh, that pumpkin pie, or that chocolate cake that Aunt Susie makes and you only get once a year, or something like that. But knowing that if you're going into those environments and you're going to eat for enjoyment versus for stress, are two different things. You know, a lot of times people never taste their food, and when it comes to family, we have a lot of dysfunctional families out there. I don't know about you, but I have one.
I think we all do.
So what happens is, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how successful you are, how old you are, you could be 40 years old, you go back to your family at these times a year, and all of a sudden you start acting like a 9-year-old again.
Yes. Moms and dads, nothing against our moms and dads, but even aunts and uncles, you didn't do this, or they're picking at you, maybe nitpicking, or, you know, reminding you of all the things you didn't do right as a kid. So how does that really play a role?
Well, it does play a role, because a lot of times our way to escape is food. And think about when you were born, when you cried, you didn't feel good, you got food, right? They fed you. Well, food becomes comfort. It also becomes love. So if you're not getting it in that environment, standard things is we'll go for food. And we need to find different ways to get love, and it's not that way.
And we're also talking about people who may be dealing with eating disorders, and I know that you have some background in this. You suffered from bulimia several years ago, and that really makes you an expert in really talking us through this. So what's the take on that this time of year?
Well, you know what? I was an emotional overeater, compulsive overeater, binge eater, bulimic for 13 years, and I have 21 years of abstinence from hurting myself.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And so I'm not speaking of a theory. I've been there.
Right.
And I remember the holiday times were perfect for me because it meant more food and I didn't have to pay for it. I know it's going to sound funny, but I never did it in public. I always did it privately. So at my family, I'd eat normal, then I'd go home and binge. Here's some things I want people to know. During the holidays, first, before you go to the family or you're with people, make a decision. Make a decision to take care of yourself, to do healthy. I say do healthy, be healthy, make healthy choices. A decision to me, Barbara, means to put an end to any other option. It's like you're going to just do that. No matter what someone says, you know, somebody would want to push your buttons. Just don't wear anything with buttons so they can't push them, right?
Exactly. I like that. I love that, actually.
Yeah. The other thing is that if we're going to go ahead and be with the family, there's some things you can do before you're around the food. And the one thing is plan ahead. Before you go to a function, eat something small. You'd say that's defeating. And most people say, well, I want to save up. I don't want to eat anything till I get there. I want to have room. That's a mistake.
Okay.
That's the best way to set yourself up for failure, because what will happen is you'll eat everything in sight. You know, have a glass of water in your hand all the time. If your hand is full, you can't go pick up something.
Oh, I like that. Miss Lisa, we're running out of time, but really quick, let us know how, as family members, we can identify maybe some of our family members who are dealing with emotional eating or maybe an eating disorder. How can we help them through this time of year especially?
You know what? First off, the way we can help them is to know that it's there, but know you can't do anything about it. You pointing it out, trying to tell them to stop, doing everything is not going to help.
Okay.
They have to make a decision to want to be healthy. And our first gut is to tell them what to do and try to fix it. Until they make that decision to fix it, it won't be fixed.
Okay. Well, Ms. Lisa, we want to thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for sharing your personal story. And I love how you've really turned it all around to help other people. Again, it's called Fine to Fab, and you can find this in the stores. Hey, have a wonderful holiday, and thanks again for being on the show.